Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to look at this massive solar eclipse that just happened a few days ago, and basically just a summary of all the important points of what it's bringing into the world, especially for Americans, because this one was really huge. I have a much more in-depth talk about this on my Patreon. The link will be in the description there. That goes for about half an hour or so, maybe even a bit more. This will just be 5-10 minute summary of this eclipse because the basic points are all there. So let's dive in. I'm just going to show you what I'm looking at. So yes, I'm just still using Zoom because it's the easiest recording software. It's so weird. Anyway, so here's the chart of the eclipse for Washington, D.C., using the capital. And you can see there's the moon with the sun together, right in the rope of Pisces. This is the sidereal zodiac that I'm using, not tropical. Well, I am using tropical as well, and you'll see a little bit of that in a second. Actually, you'll see it right now. So the reason I'm using the tropical zodiac as well is you can see this orange dot here. That's the spring equinox. And when the sun passes the spring equinox and the moon passes the sun, we begin the Babylonian New Year. The first of Nisan comes. So let me explain that a little bit more. You can see up here in the top left, it says just above my head here, 28th of Adar. And if I move this forward 3 days, 1, 2, actually only 2 days, it changes to the 1st of Nisan, which is the first month of the Babylonian year, linked with Aries. And the 1st of Nisan is a holy, holy day because it's when the sun and the moon, it's the start of the year, basically. It's a holiday. A holy day, a holiday. And that's just because it's the start of the year. It's the beginning. It represents the beginning of the cycle. And that is linked to an agreement between the sun and the moon, not just the sun. So it's solely lunar calendar. And as you can see here, this solar eclipse is taking place just 2 days before the 1st of Nisan. So in other words, the eclipse is happening basically on the last day of the Babylonian year, which is problematic. And all of that is linked with the tropical zodiac, right? The year is a tropical phenomenon. It's not a sidereal phenomenon. So here is, so that's why I'm using sidereal and tropical. It's done. So there's that solar eclipse, and it's right here at the end. So the ending is always associated with bad things, with destruction, with conflicts, with losses, with just generally not good things. That's the end of the cycle. So not the most lovely omen there with this solar eclipse, and this is affecting America, and this will not trigger for 2 years. 2 years time, because why is that? You can see this blue curved line here. This is the MC. And the sun and the moon are right on or very close to the MC, which is the midday point. When the sun is on the MC, it's about 12 noon. And as you can see, the time here is 12:51. So it's happening at midday. And when a solar eclipse happens at midday, it means that the effect is delayed for 1 to 2 years, or the effect will activate between 1 and 2 years from the moment of the eclipse. So we are looking at nothing's going to happen in terms of the themes of this eclipse or until next April earliest, probably even a bit later, more like next October or something like that. 1 to 2 years time. And the reason why I'm highlighting this so much with this one, I mean, this is always important, and it's the same with every eclipse. I mean, there's a whole nonsense thing. Everybody freaks out about, oh my God, it's eclipse season and it's so intense. And yeah, it is, it's intense time when the eclipses are happening. There's big energetic shifts happening. That's not the same as an eclipse influence. You guys really need to understand that. If every eclipse affected us, we would all be dead. Because a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse, they represent death. And if every single one affected the whole world, there would be no world left, right? So that's why we go by the landmass where it's visible. And actually, it works extremely well. It works unbelievably well. So this solar eclipse is visible across all of the United States. So this affects the United States. And so it'll activate in 2 years' time. And this is the practical activation. So yes, I know I've had a hectic couple of weeks as well. It always is between eclipses. It's always intense, especially this one with the Mars-Saturn thing going on. But the actual eclipse event, which is not an emotional thing, it is a literal thing, will not activate for 2 years, right? So yes, I know it's been emotional, but the actual literal event is delayed. And I think that's really important because we get so caught up in our emotions, with astrology these days. Not that that's a bad thing, but we just do it way too much. And yeah, anyway. So what else? There are other things that confirm that something big will happen in 2 years' time for America. One of them is Mars down here. You can see above his head, MF2 here. A little bit hard to see, but it's there. Red letters. And that means morning first in 2 days. Morning first means the first visibility or the appearance of that star or that planet in 2 days' time. So 2 days translates to 2 years in terms of secondary progression. Right, so secondary progression, you move the chart forward in time. 1 day equals 1 year of life, okay? And if we take this chart for the moment of this eclipse and we move it forward, we move forward 1 day for each year after the eclipse, let's say. Then Mars will rise in activating in 2 years' time, in our time, real time, okay? So we've got the solar eclipse activates in 2 years. Mars rises 2 days after or 2 years after. And I believe Saturn is also rising here. He's not 2 days, but 4 days afterwards. Let's see. 1, 2, here. Saturn there. Saturn, you see, he became colored in there. This is 4 days after the eclipse. And then if I go back 1 day, he goes gray again, meaning he's invisible. Just a little glitch in the program. Why he's not got the red letters on top of his head, not a big deal. So Saturn and Mars appearing 2 to 4 days after this eclipse. And not only that, Venus is disappearing. We can see ML0. So the eclipse happens on the exact day that Venus disappears in America or for Washington. That's really bad. Venus is one of the most important, well, both obviously Venus and Jupiter are both very important, but Venus is particularly important benefic planet. So whenever she disappears, especially around a big event like this, it signifies a problem. Actually, it could also signify cryptocurrencies going up, which is interesting. I've heard that from my teacher. But generally, it indicates the economy going down. It indicates that there will be no sense of love and brotherhood between people, or the bonds of fellowship between people will break. And that's again confirmed by the Saturn and Mars rising together in the sacred zone of Aquarius, which I talk about more on my Patreon there. And I'm getting so fired up, I can tell I'm about to give it all away here. But I think you guys get the basic gist. Is there's going to be a massive, the summary is there's a big potential for conflict and tyrannical institutions in 2 years' time for America, as well as, yeah, it can be internal conflict. It could be something external. I'm not really sure. But Mars and Saturn rising together, I think, and Mars rising, yeah, on top of Saturn, it's probably could be some kind of conflict with the governmental structures, like a war. Well, thematically war, obviously, not necessarily officially. Could be officially. Very, very risky to jump to conclusions like that. It's not usually accurate, but probably some kind of big conflict, big thing will stir up in 2 years' time. So Stay tuned for that. And it's getting spicy. So if you've got any questions, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Other than that, you can, as I said before, check out my Patreon. If you want to book me for a session, my website is in the description as well. So I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye.